Hello, welcome to our show, Inside News. Have we got a show for you tonight? It's very interesting. And here's Mike Jones. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Dale. I don't know if it'll be as interesting as last night. I thought last night was really great. And, we got well over 100 views on that in the overnight. So very exciting.
We're pushing up to 120, which is twice our normal daily total at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And, I'm hoping that people are watching this and then passing the link off to friends, because this is the best way to be informed, by actually seeing these people and see what they have to say. And,
Well, it's not doing badly for a 2-hour show.
Yeah, really. Oh, and believe me,
it started getting rough. The tiny ship was tough.
That's right. Watch it all the way to the end, because if you don't see the end, you're missing the best part.
Okay, but there are those of you who don't have 2 hours to spend, and so what we're going to do is, here's what we've decided to do. Now, I'm just going to be straight out with you, which I usually am not, of course.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I'm running for office. You already know that. And you know why I'm running for office. It's because of you guys anyway. You begged me, like the people were begging Sarah Walker, please no voters pamphlet.
Right, yes. The exact same people.
Yes, exactly. So what I told Mike, what I'd like to do, and Mike agrees, is what we're going to do now is almost every show, we're going to play an excerpt from that. We're going to start with Keith Heck, because he was the first one that spoke last night. It's 2 hours. This is only 3.5 minutes. We're going to play back what he said before he started taking questions, because when he starts taking questions, some people are jumping on him. Okay. And what we're going to do on the Facebook sites is we're going to play all of what Keith had to say with questions and answers from the audience. Anytime that he was involved, we'll play that back on the Facebook site. So no criticism, including from us, on this nightly show. That seems to me to be fair.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So when Keith Heck is done, it's just going to come back to us, and we're not going to do anything other than say next story. Okay? Seems fair. And yes, this is possible. Of course, this is possible. Okay. Well, you'll see. You tell us if it's
even probable, since we've planned it.
Well, it's going to be done this way. Make it so. All right.
Okay. Yes.
So let's see what Keith Heck had to say. That this was an invitation from the Republican Party, from Republican Party headquarters, at one of their meetings, where they invited, as far as I know, all the candidates to come. There was one candidate who promised to come, and then she backed out at the last moment. Okay. And then there was another one that wasn't going to show up and did anyway. So, okay. And so they just went in this sort of random order, depending on how we were seated in the room. And the first one was Keith Heck. And so here's what he had to say for 3.5 minutes.
Keith Heck, currently serving as Commissioner, position 2, my third year. First term, third year, running for another term. Been here for almost 20 years. In November, November, it'll be 20 years. Moved up from Oklahoma. Basically, my background has been for about 40 years as a Christian pastor, and worked here in Josephine County in a number of different roles in the county, active in different programs with youth and interfacing with different departments. I want to say the OYA, but it wasn't the OYA, but with different youth groups and that kind of thing, and with county and state groups. Served about 10 years on the Citizen Review Board, which oversaw cases of children being taken into care by DHS, and it was a good opportunity. Worked for 13 years as the director of the Gospel Rescue Mission, and look back on that as really the high point of my life in that sense, seeing it transition from 8th and E Street to the facility where they are located today. And saw the women's facility built in 2003 and the men's facility completed, and then I passed out and retired. So, but my involvement in the county has been measurable in the sense that you can go back and check it out if you want to see what's been done and that kind of a thing. As far as the commissioner goes, whether I better not say that. I was going to say whether I support whomever might be the presidential candidate. If I say one party, somebody go nuts, or the other one is not really an item as far as the commissioner goes. Commissioners are working in the county for legislative and administrative and executive decisions and work. There has been a host of different interesting activities and decisions that we've had to work with and to be a part of. I have thoroughly enjoyed the process, and I look forward to representing you as a commissioner for another 4 years, if that is indeed God's providence, and He is the one upon whom I rely and trust. And however His will works out, it will be good. My nose might have to be readjusted a little bit, but His will is always good. But I appreciate the time to come and briefly explain some things, and I've got the advantage that some of the others don't have. You've got my phone number and my email address, and you know where I live. And so you can come and hound me down anytime. But please do feel free to call me and talk with me. I try to answer the phone as often as possible, and I will answer any questions that you want to bring up and try to chase down for you.
Okay, no comments. We're not going to make comments about these things, so that we usually do.
And we don't even really have to comment that we're not making comments. We could just move along, you know.
Yes, exactly right. But you're used to this show. Okay, so the next thing we wanted to show you is here is a rather indecipherable page from the county website. And we're going to tell you who it is that's running for office at the moment. For position number 2, and that's Keith Heck. The other people are Tony Webb, Dale Matthews, Mark Kelsey, who says that he's going to drop out. In fact, he said he was going to do it today or yesterday, but he didn't. And also Nathaniel Duarte, and a brand new one is Dan DeYoung from the City Council. Over in position. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and I was just going to say in the Meet the Candidates video that we have up now, there's really only a couple of those represented that are running against Keith Heck, and that's Dale Matthews and Dan DeYoung. The rest of these people either didn't know about it or declined to show up.
And in one case, dropped out to the last moment. Okay, so
right.
People that are running against Cheryl Walker, I told you everybody and their brother was going to run against Cheryl.
That's for sure.
Are Ronald Smith, Lily Morgan from the City Council, Mark Seligman, Raymond Smith, Shane Kristen, Virgil Marler, Bill Hunker, Paul Walter, and at the last moment, just yesterday, a fellow by the name of David Martin, who my understanding is the owner of Martin's Printing.
I don't know much about David Martin, and I may well have done business with him in the past, as I worked for a guy here in town where we did a fair amount of business through Martin's, and I have done some stuff with Martin. I'm not exactly on a first name basis with the guy, so I wouldn't recognize him. Any idea what this guy's platform is, or have you heard anything about
here's
him?
What I think is going on. I anticipated that what would happen is that Rotary Club and the Chamber of Commerce would join together on this, and they would put forward their candidates. Don't we all expect that they're going to do that? I mean, the Old Boys Network has got to put people forward. besides the folks who were already there. And my
Hmm.
guess is that this is the Old Boys Network Rotary Club Chamber of Commerce candidate. Now, of course, they're going to, oh, that's got nothing to do with that. Yeah, let's be real. Almost certainly. And that definitely represents one portion of our community.
Yeah, sure. Right.
So, okay. All right.
Okay.
So, I was in the hallway today, waiting for one of three meetings that I videotaped. Long meetings, 2.5 hours. Well, I think these things need to shorten up a little bit. And a lady from Channel 10, Ariana Rafsanjani, saw me. I said, "Oh, can I recall you? Can I? Too early. Just wait."
Yes, right. Yeah, just wait a year.
6 months after the election.
Yeah.
So can I interview you? I'm here to interview Simon Hare because it turns out that the recall website was shut down. This we know, and we told you about it. So I said, sure, I'll be available. And then at some point, she actually called me out from inside one of the meetings and wanted to talk to me about this. And so we have supplied them, Channel 10, which is playing tonight, a story that includes a graphic that, well, I'm pretty sure we're the only ones that have that graphic. So here's what happened. You may recall that we told you earlier about Mark Kelsey deciding to call it quits with the recall against Simon Hare. This is what I posted yesterday as the newest iteration on that story. Kelsey shuts down recall site. Signature sheets are now useless. At 2:37 p.m., that was yesterday, Mark Kelsey pulled the plug on Citizens to Recall Simon Hare, a Facebook site that he claimed would serve as a gathering point for petition sheets aimed at the recall of Commissioner Simon Hare. Mysteriously, no one knows what happened to all those names and addresses, as Kelsey adamantly refused to share the results with anyone. As a result, according to the county clerk's office, all those signature sheets are now useless. On Tuesday, Kelsey posted, I've talked to a few influential people. Due to the fact this gives Walker and Heck the opportunity to pick whomever they want if Hare is recalled, we are calling off the recall until after the election. Of course, we all knew that to begin with, but okay. When his message was reposted by me, his response was, and I'll clean this up, and you're still an effing moron. I never said I blame them. Now we see why you will never be a commissioner because you were a little female dog. Kelsey has renamed his site Vote Trump 16, and that's what we supplied to Channel 10.
Yeah, and that's this happened. It's funny because he renamed the site, and since I was a member of the site, I got a notification that he renamed the site. Then he replaced the graphic, which was Simon Hare,
with a black helicopter.
With a black helicopter, and then I believe the site is completely gone now. Either that or it's just Dale and I are completely blocked from it.
Oh, and, Channel 10 is blocked too. Nobody can see this site.
Okay. But you know what's interesting? Because he cites as a reason for putting it into the recall that, this would have allowed Cheryl and Keith to name his successor. And whereas that is true, they would have been able to appoint a successor. The successor would only have been allowed to serve until the next election which would have been November. So we're talking about 6 months or something, somewhere in that ballpark, that this other person would serve and then be replaced by somebody else. So I don't know what the big deal is. That would not have intimidated me at all. Now, and some people had misunderstanding about that. They thought that this would allow Cheryl and Keith to appoint someone to serve out the balance of Simon's term, and that is not correct.
Well, we've been saying this from the beginning on this show. We all knew this, and we've also warned you. I said to you, watch out, be careful, don't jump on this guy, because when he finally admits that he can't do this job, he decided to run for county commissioner too, and he says now he's not going to, but he still hasn't withdrawn his name. He's going to be looking for someone to blame, and you don't want it to be you. Okay, well, one of their viewers, was asking me. All that we ever did was politely ask, could you please tell us what the vote totals are? Okay, so after we told this story, Mark Kelsey came on Facebook and said, and I still stand behind my statement to you. What are you going to whine about next? And then Stephanie Bradshaw says, so, Dale, why don't you do it if you feel strongly about it? You seem to have plenty of time pointing out what everyone else is doing wrong, but what are you doing? I just had to answer just this one time. I said, yeah, just sitting here twiddling my thumbs because, as we all know, I don't do anything. Mark Kelsey answered, lots of talk, no action.
It's funny to be criticized by somebody for the job that they're supposed to be doing. Really bizarre.
Well, I told you he'd be looking for someone to blame. And Stephanie Bradshaw, she answered, listen, if you're doing something, please enlighten us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Stephanie, that you're out of the loop here, and I don't mean to be critical. I think to be beating the heck out of this woman is clearly just unaware of what's going on around here, and doesn't know what Dale does. If anybody here locally knows what Dale does, and then still has the inclination to criticize him for not doing enough, is not aware of what's happening. So
thank you very much for that unsolicited opinion, Mike Jones. Okay, yes. So you should also know, because we review media, that was Facebook. We also review media, and one of the things that's happening these days, and you might have noticed, it seems like 4 times a year, the TV stations all over the country are doing the strangest stories, like nude commissioners on parade or whatever, right? Well, February is what they call...
I missed that one.
February is what they call Sweeps Month. During Sweeps Month, the Nielsen rating people are looking very carefully at what kind of views you have. They don't look at you every day of the year, which they probably should. We do. But that's what sets their advertising rates. Aha. Okay, so Channel 5, KOBI, came out, I think it was 2 nights ago, with a special report. Political controversy in Oregon. I'm going to put on my radio hat. It's been a tumultuous time in Oregon politics, with public officials arrested, resigning, and under investigation. But is Oregon the only place where this is happening? Yeah, that's the only place. And is it happening more often? NBC5 begins an in-depth investigation of the recent allegations and what it means for you. Well, okay, they did probably going to be the best story of the whole series. They did that 2 nights ago, and here it is.
Only on NBC5 News, under fire. It's been a tumultuous time in Oregon politics, with public officials arrested, resigning, and under investigation.
But is Oregon the only place where this is happening? And is it happening more often? Tonight, we begin an in-depth investigation of the recent allegations and what it means for you. Over the last 12 months, some Oregon political leaders and public officials have found themselves in hot water. In February of last year, Governor John Kitzhaber resigns amid allegations of influence peddling.
He thought he could get away with more than he can get away with.
3 months later, Oregon's top federal prosecutor steps down following claims of an inappropriate relationship between her and a subordinate.
There's no criminal activity.
In October, Jackson County files an ethics complaint against Commissioner Doug Bridenthal, asking the State Ethics Commission to look into possible ethics law violations and misuse of public funds, an investigation that is still ongoing today. In December, Josephine County Commissioner Simon Hare is arrested for DUI and pleads no contest. Now he tells NBC5 News he won't seek re-election.
I won't be here for much longer.
And just weeks later, Jackson County Community Director Shane Hagee.
Oh boy.
Possession of meth and resisting arrest. charges he has pleaded not guilty to. Political science instructor Michael Torgeson and Southern Oregon University professor Prakash Chinjiri say Oregon isn't unique.
It happens all across the globe.
There are scandals in Texas, in California, up in, Pigs Knuckle, Arkansas. They're all over the place.
Just last week, former Governor Elliot Spitzer was accused of choking a woman at a hotel. The politician resigned in 2008 after being accused of soliciting prostitutes. In Michigan, Representative Todd Corser resigned and Representative Cindy Gamrat was ousted following a sex scandal between the pair. And in Virginia, Delegate Joseph Morsi serves jail time for an inappropriate relationship with a teen staffer who later gave birth to his son. Torgeson says times have changed.
There are things that people could get away with in the 80s that would get them hung out to dry today.
With the 24-hour news cycle, the internet, and the creation of smartphones.
Every person is a reporter. Every phone is a camera. So the unblinking eye of the media is ever present.
And Torgeson says that microscope is widening. Coming up tomorrow night, we'll delve deeper into the history of controversy in Oregon politics and examine the public's perception of political failures and why we as humans can't seem to get enough of them. And there's actually some science to it.
Really?
Yes. So you'll have to tune in tomorrow.
I thought it was just me. That's fascinating. I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
Yeah, there's real science.
A lot happening there. I look forward to hearing about it.
Absolutely. Well, tonight in the Whip Around, a Facebook workout video is going viral.
Okay, what the woman behind the post is using as motivation to get some exercise, I bet you can guess.
Plus, Adam Kopac's up next with your complete weather forecast. Stay with us.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy.
That's
hardly wait.
That was like a non-story. Simon Hare, I will not be here much longer. Bing. That's it. I mean, we could have done that better than they did. They could.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Had a little thing of Simon Hare, and then we could have talked about it for a couple of minutes. That was nothing. That was a show about nothing. I mean, that one up Seinfeld by quite a bit.
Now, did you notice that they showed a U.S. Map, and all of the stories were concentrated on the East Coast? That's because it's sweep month, and because they were supplied that graphic footage from New York. And so the idea is, here's your graphic footage. Now you drop in your local content. Don't forget to talk to someone from your local community college that's going to be, the big expert about your area. And here's this is even funnier than ever. Here's what happened. So they brought in this instructor from RCC, and the instructor says, this was the next night, Schadenfreude is ever present in politics, where voters identify more with people in their political party. However, if a member of our party fails, it's more disappointing than enjoying. And philosopher Prakash Chinjiri says, those feelings have been ingrained in us for centuries. Mike, I've been wondering about this feeling. Centuries.
I'm glad somebody's finally shining some light on that, because I was
it's
very confused.
Okay, but don't forget, RCC is looking for more money. Their own property tax hike will be on your ballot in May, so be sure to vote.
Yes.
Really, this is it. Really.
Yeah, and you know what I resent the most about this thing is that I saw the promos for this, and they promoted the heck out of this thing. And I tuned in to watch this thing, and I went, really? I tuned in for that.
That's Channel 5. Okay, Channel 5 actually does a reasonably good job, but this was nothing. Okay,
yeah,
more of nothing.
Non-story.
Non-story. More of nothing, and this is delicious. Now, so talking about non-news agencies, here's KJO and their version of a local story that we're going to talk about here in a minute. We're changing gears over to the newest huge project that the city has going on that's just really going to make all the difference to our local life. Here's the story from KJO. And so here's what they have to say. We'll tell you this, and Mike can probably see some of this too. Just a moment, and I will tell you what it says on KJO because I sent you that story, Mike. And it says, new city branding proposal will be unveiled to Grants Pass citizens tonight. That was a couple of nights ago. Local residents will get their first chance to see the new branding strategy for the city of Grants Pass during a public forum. For the record, the Grants Pass City Council was quite impressed by the new brand that was unveiled the first time today during the weekly workshop session. Do you want to take it over from there, Mike?
No, because I don't have it open here.
You didn't know? Okay. For several months, Experience Grants Pass, the branding steering committee, and the consulting firm Lookout combined their efforts to come up with a brand and a logo that will be appealing for prospective vacationers and residents alike. The logo, and you guys just got to see this logo. It is amazing. Let me pull this up so that you can see this. I think you're going to love this logo. Here we go.
Do you want me to continue reading while you're doing that?
No, that's okay. I think I can do this. Okay, and this is the logo from the Daily Courier story. Here you go. Go ahead. Now, go ahead and read it now.
Okay. The logo is a boat-shaped design divided by an. Yes, that's what they say. Divided by an oar. Above the oar, it reads Grants Pass. Below the oar, it says Heart of the Rogue and Oregon. It comes in a myriad of natural colors.
This is it. This guy writing. This is not from the press release. This is KJO's writing. Go ahead.
Yes, depending on the application, from water blue to redwood green. Redwood green? To granite gray. Most of all, it is simple, friendly, and inviting.
Now, wait a second. Just wait a second. Wait a second. This is written by KJO. It is a news story. Okay, so this is not from the press release. It's just written by KJO saying, most of all, it is simple, friendly, and inviting.
Yes.
Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't know. Had they made the bottom of that flat, it might be semi-boat shaped. But yeah, this is odd. I'm telling you, I don't know. Obviously this guy has some dirt on somebody in local government, or that somebody owes him a favor or something. Because you know what, the previous logo that we had for Grants Pass, I like a lot better than this.
Well, I want to know now. The city councilor said, well, remember what they said before of that awful logo earlier, and the mayor had said, this says more about us than I possibly could have imagined. Yes, it did, but not in the way he thinks. Now, but the thing that really bothers me is people who still think they can get some news from KJO are hearing a story written by the KJO news staff that says, most of all, it is simply friendly and inviting. Why don't they just go work for the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what this costs, but I think that you probably could have had a contest at the high school for art students to come up with some new logo, and they probably would have done a better job than this. Just
keep reading there, bud.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Here's my
the theme is that the Rogue River is the greatest asset of the city of Grants Pass. It is a timeless vacation destination with traditional lodges and adventures, but is now accompanied with modern conveniences and new economic opportunities.
This is a news story?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's a press release is what it is. Upon seeing the proposal for the branding strategy, council members remarked that it is a great improvement over the Go Rogue idea unveiled last summer. I don't know that it is. That's my personal opinion. And
okay,
we do opinion news here.
Yeah, we do. And here's a graphic, which is my opinion. Okay, so anyway, this Heart of the Rogue, I thought, Heart of the Rogue, Heart of the Rogue. Where the heck have I heard Heart of the Rogue before? So I Googled it, and this is what I got. This is the website for yet another outfit, and this one is it's called the Nature Conservancy. What the heck is the name of that thing, Mike? Can you read that?
I can't. I'm getting a pixelated version. The people out there, why don't
You're pixelated.
Why don't we have one of the viewers tell us what it says?
Okay, Southern Oregon Land Conservancy, and what is their motto? Heart of the Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've seen this before from this guy that's being paid so much money out of our tax dollars here in Grants Pass. That first he made a logo that looked exactly like another logo and was also replicated by one of the local citizens for like, $1.50 or something, about like that. Now he's copying the motto of the Southern Oregon Land Conservancy, which is Heart of the Rogue. So what would I do as a good reporter? I called them and I said, by the way, did you know this is happening? And they said, no. And I said, oh, yes. No. And I said, yes, yes. So go take a look at this and see what you think. Is this, have they taken your logo from you? And they had their motto. Well, now, wait a minute. First of all, if this is something that belongs to somebody else, why is this guy purporting that he spent time and effort on his own? And why are we paying for it for him to steal some other local group's motto? And we're going to pay him for that.
Yeah, and you had best be careful because what it looked like on that other page was although somewhat older now, the man from Atlantis is a member of this group or something like that.
The man from Atlantis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Patrick Duffy. Don't you remember that series?
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yeah, because
it's probably like late 70s even, maybe early.
That's right. That's him
70s.
and that not with the hat on, up there in the little thing where he's standing next to the lady, okay? And yeah. that's Patrick Duffy. So again, I would ask everybody, why are we paying for this? And this is going to attract, oh man, I tell you, people are going to be driving by and they're going to go, look at this logo. Why, we must pull over there. Why, as one of them said, the best part about it is that I love the fact that it has an or on there. That's what we love about our area. We don't love trees. No. We love an or. We don't love our rivers. We love an or.
Well, I seem to recall that the previous Grants Pass logo has an or on it as well. It's just some guy holding an or. And I don't really get how that logo was in need of replacement. I don't understand. This is what people do when they have other people's money to spend on stuff.
Too much money. And I tell you, if we're going to go with that kind of anemic looking logo, I like mine better. And see at the bottom it says Kroger instead of Oregon. I think it's much better. And I did mine for free.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah. Well, although you did you copied their logo.
The Courier was gushing about this as well. Really?
So you know what? We are dumbing down greatness to such a degree that we're calling mediocre artwork, and we're calling it, oh wow, that's fantastic. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes. You could have had some real artists actually come up with a nice logo, something artistic that there is just Tony Webb during the last logo drive there went to some website and spent like $2 coming up with a logo in 5 minutes of her time, and came up with something that was comparable to what Mr. Bowen came up with for this Live Rogue thing. And this logo here that they have, it doesn't look any better than that. I'm just, why can't we, I mean, if we're going to do good with our money, why can't we do really good with our money? Why can't we be smart about how we spend it? I'll tell you what, you take local artists and you have a contest with who can come up with the best logo, and whoever comes up with the best logo gets to be the logo and lay claim to, I'm the one who did that logo. You could probably get it for nothing, and it would be a heck of a lot nicer than this one.
And when people are driving by thinking of where they're going to stop to get gas or their pie or whatever, they're going to look at this and say, well, that's just amazing. That's incredible. Why, we've got to stop there. Really? And Dan DeYoung, his answer was, well, there's always going to be somebody that thinks they know better. But I really like this because this says who we are. It does.
Okay, and really, art is a subjective thing, and I don't know if he's being, I don't know. Maybe he's being honest that he thinks that that's really great, and whatever. I think you could do better than that for a heck of a lot less money, and I know that they're paying this guy tens of thousands of dollars for stuff like this.
It's incredible. Now, in addition to this, gushing over this and writing up a news story on KJO talking about how wonderful it is as part of the news, the other thing that KJO did recently is, you guys probably know that last night there were two, yesterday afternoon, morning leading into early afternoon, the commissioners decided that they would put one advisory question on the ballot and not put another advisory question on the ballot. The all-important 3453 is not going to be, that advisory question is not going to be on the ballot. So what did KJO report today? That the commissioners are putting the 3453 advisory question on the ballot. Mm-hmm. What this does is it just indicates, why are you listening to KJO? It's bad enough that they cover up the news, as the Courier used to do and may now start doing. It's bad enough that they would not consider things like $100,000 cost overrun to be worthy of a story. But or the Republican Central Committee not backing a levy to be not a story, absolutely not a story, okay? But now they put out news which is the opposite of the truth. Because of a nefarious plan? No. Is it conspiracy or lunkheads? It's lunkheads. And they've reported to everybody that would listen that this is what the commissioners did, when the opposite is the truth. Sorry to be, blowing ourselves up here, which is probably a good start according to some people. But at least we're telling you the news and we're getting it right. If we did that one time, Mike, if we got up and we said the opposite of what the truth was, we have opinions and some people may like them and others don't. That's okay. That's what the show is about. But if we got up and we said black is white, they'd hand us our heads. Oh, they can never be trusted again. KJO does it. Carl Wilson's radio station. What do you expect from a radio station news staff that's paid to tell you the news?
Yeah, and I think, they're probably getting a lot of their news from the Courier or press releases from local government. I just did a quick search. I just did a quick search. This is the Grants Pass logo. That's the most recent thing. I don't see what's wrong with that. If they did want to replace it, okay, that's fine. But how is that silly thing that they came up with just now? How is that better than this? I don't know. Yeah, and
it's the same colors.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyhow. Our main story this evening is not about that. Our main story is about the commissioners and their decision yesterday, their sudden decision after months and months of work to not put the 3453, that's the one where the governor comes down here and takes over. Remember, they warned us, oh, you got to vote for this levy or the governor will come down and take over. Now they're on the side of doing that. Lovely. And so, but they changed their mind. Mike and I remember when there was a push to make a new marijuana ordinance, and the place was packed full of people who had come to argue against it. And then one person got up and said, don't do this. And the commissioners were like really paying attention, because most of the time they look down and Cheryl's scribbling notes really fast and they're not looking at you. Although you get in trouble if you don't look at them. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Pat Fahey came up representing Cuffs, the pro-levy guys. And he said, if you put this on the ballot, why, the levy won't pass. Boom. After all that effort, months of effort, all those people yawning at the people, making fun of the people, immediately they went with Pat Fahey's version. This is the same Pat Fahey who met them at the end of the dais and was talking about county business when they were in a quorum, and then got up later and said, well, I'm a member of the Rotary Club and I can't even talk to them in an illegal way. Paraphrasing. No, you're not supposed to. Oh, what's the world come to? Okay, so Pat Fahey talked them out of it. Well, this time, when they were there and everything was ready, and you knew that they were going to go with this 3453 thing to try to get, some percentage so they can get the governor down here to take over, let them keep their jobs, but not investigate the books. Please don't do that. That's draconian. Okay, so just before they had their meeting, they were referring to an email sent to them by, who was it, Mike?
That would be that. And now that you're asking me, I don't.
Sorry, that happens to be
Jay Meredith.
Okay. Jay Meredith, right? Jay Meredith, head of SOS. Oh, what a coincidence! And also the Grants Pass City finance director. He sent it to him at midnight, and somehow they came to a conclusion without talking to each other. Oh no, they would never do that because that would be illegal. I know we're breaking the law and I don't care. Well, okay. So here's what this guy had to say. We are your only source for this. We're going to do the most interesting thing that our show ever does. We're going to read it out loud to you, but there's no video for it. And they didn't read it and they didn't explain it, and we had to ask for it specially. So here's Mike Jones and Dale Matthews with our rendition of why you should not do this, or we're not going to like you anymore, written by Jay Meredith. Mike?
Okay. Yes, let's see here. Dear commissioners, I cannot make your meeting tomorrow, so I would like to place the following comments on the record in relation to the advisory question on public safety. Specifically, the following on your agenda. Approval of resolution number 2016-019 in the matter referring to Josephine County voters of the May 17th, 2016 primary election and advisory question on public safety services. As someone that pays close attention to county business and the opinions out there on how we should work to solve our public safety / criminal justice challenges, I have a number
every time in the past, Mike.
Oh yeah, this guy's batting 1,000. I have a number of comments on this proposal action. Please forgive the relatively long letter, but I did not get a chance to see your proposed ballot language before today.
First, let me say, he says, just say that this advisory question does not appear to be needed. I'm having a really hard time figuring out why you need to hear the public's opinion of this. Oh, that's nice. Because if there are truly no strings attached, other than being able to negotiate with the governor for financial assistance for a current emergency, no mandated higher tax or or fee levels, state does not take control over programs, then we should be declaring an emergency immediately and not waiting for an advisory vote. I think putting this to vote can only cloud the issue and make people ever more nervous about the state coming in and assuming control of county operations and forcing higher taxes. Mike?
Now, what you should be thinking at this point is, what do I fear more? The possibility of them enacting after November sometime, maybe after the first of next year, this thing because of how people are voting in the May election, or should I fear immediate implementation of that because of the influence of Jay Meredith?
Saying, hey, don't go to the people. What's the matter with you guys? You don't take it to a vote of the people. You just do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
And if you can't guarantee that an agreement with the state, in parentheses, governor, would not result in higher tax/fee levels and would not result in the county losing control of any of its programs, you can't ask people to give their advisory yes or no on this question.
I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I don't really either, but whatever. This is an important distinction because I'm hearing many people out there that are fearful that the state coming in and taking over or forcing higher taxes. If this can't be guaranteed one way or the other, the advisory vote seems worthless.
That's nice. Your advisory vote. Of course, this guy is in charge of SOS. Of course, he thinks that your vote is worthless. Of course, the city guys think your vote is worthless because you don't come up with any ideas. And when you you don't support law enforcement, and I didn't hear anything, and Roy Lindsay will sit you down and try to convince you some other way. They have no respect for you. Read the next paragraph, Mike.
And hang on a second. One thing that we should understand is this is a guy who's fresh off the sting of the voters' rebuke on his little, and it is his baby, almost completely his baby, the sales tax. He's the one who proposed it to the city council. The city council is taking the heat for it, and you know, they deserve some of the heat for it because they're supposed to be some of the check and balance that is placed there on our behalf to do the work of shooting down stupid legislation. And
it was defeated 78% by 78%.
Yeah,
and they said, and two weeks after the vote, Dan DeYoung is saying, "Well, the people should get over it. I'm over it. Of course, you want to go on. Of course, you don't want to talk about that anymore. Well, I can't believe we did this for the good of the people. No, you didn't.
If you, as a legislator, are not capable of shooting down legislation that 78% of the people that you purport to represent find objectionable, then what are you doing your job? I don't think so. As Bill Hunker pointed out so well, if you are in a room full of 10 people and you see 2 of them, you are not representative of all of them. This is most certainly the case.
What is Dan DeYoung now going to do with this sterling record? Well, he's going to run for commissioner so they can push more of this kind of stuff on you.
Right. He's it isn't enough for him to misrepresent the people of the city of Grants Pass. Now he's going to misrepresent the people of the entire county.
Well, this is one of the reasons why at the top of each show, what we're going to do is we're going to play back. We'll get to his too. He's going to get his thing. He's going to get his chance on this show to say it. It's going to come back to us and we're going to go, okay, next, right? And we're not going to laugh about it or anything else. This guy isn't going to say, wow, I sure dominated that evening. Wow, boy, people sure like that. We're not going to include on this show. We'll include it in the standalone replays without our comments. What it was that people said to him. They handed him his head. And we're talking about the movers and shakers in the Republican Party. of this guy supposedly is part of. So he's going to run on this record of pushing for real hard for a city sales tax, which was setting the pace for the entire state. They were all watching us. If this hadn't been defeated by 80%, there would have been states, it would have fallen like the dominoes of Southeast Asia. Mike?
Yeah, and he's also, going to be asking for that stamp of approval for his previous actions, which indicate utter complete contempt for the people of Grants Pass.
And that's the worst part of all to me. Not coming up with lunkhead ideas. We expect that. Come on, now let's be honest. You expect that from politicians. But afterwards, in their after-action report to each other, they were all agreeing with each other, including Ken Hannum, who voted against it. He said, well, I voted against it because it wasn't enough money. Oh, he's running for office too. What a brilliant move, Ken. Anyway, so they're talking to each other. Yeah, I have to agree with you. The people sure are lunkheads. Yeah, they sure are stupid. Well, they don't have any good ideas. Yep, I guess they didn't want any kind of law enforcement. Well, I guess we just do what we can, but they just won't listen to us. Says Roy Lindsay, they just wouldn't listen. All they say is no, 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 and they're not listening. We're not the ones that are listening. Are you kidding? They had all those people there. It was a packed house, and they were hearing nothing. Mm-hmm. So if you want another commissioner that hears nothing, there you go. Dan DeYoung, take it away, boy. Okay, what else does Jay Meredith, head of SOS, have to say?
I shall continue. In the ballot title, you have, if the county determines that it is financially unable to provide an adequate level of public safety services,
whatever that means.
Yeah. Outside of the city of Grants Pass, our county has less law enforcement than many third world countries.
Now, wait. Read that again. What did he say?
He said, outside of the city of Grants Pass, our county has less law enforcement than many third world countries. Okay, well, one would expect that. Because many third world countries are larger than the Josephine County, and we would expect
countries. This is meant as an insult. Many third world countries have militia walking the streets during the day with the AK-47s on their back.
That's right. They probably.
Is this what you want?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So anyway, and the few deputies we have are only on the clock for less than half a day. We have 0 detectives working for the county. The juvenile justice shelter detention building remains closed. This is one of his pet babies, is to find some funding for that. Jail funding is not even coming close to meeting the needs, and the DA can't prosecute all the serious cases.
Now, wait a second. This is opposite of what the Grants Pass City Police Chief is saying. Why is this staff member disputing the word of the head of the Grants Pass Public Safety System?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they say that, and I think that the chief would probably agree with him that there's not enough jail funding. I mean, when are they going to say that they have enough jail funding? When
never.
Yeah, never. Exactly. And we have 0 detectives working, blah, blah, blah. The DA can't prosecute all the serious cases. Now, let me ask you something. I was under the impression that the DA was funded by the state. And so
yes.
Why and not only that, almost an unprecedented thing in the state of Oregon, but Josephine County actually pays a bonus over what the state gives to the DA. The county gives an additional amount. And I don't know, what is the percentage, Dale? Is it 10,
20%? 20%. And that goes to a very interesting question, which brings us almost full circle in this report to you, is when Simon Hare was declared guilty by the police detectives that were looking into him. I mean, they said in their official police report, he filed a false police report. Okay? The DA said the reason he wasn't going to follow through is because he gets paid by the county. Well, there's a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, the point that I'm trying to make is that they're claiming that somehow, and Dan DeYoung went on at great length about this the other night, about how, you know, somehow we can't prosecute cases. That has nothing to do with the funding coming in from property taxes or property tax levies. Apparently, because the state is the one who does that. So if you have an incompetent DA who is not prosecuting cases for one reason or another, and I wonder where that edict is coming down from, we really need to dig into this, because you know what? The deeper you dig in this, the dirtier it becomes. So we need to know.
And I would ask you, Mike, if the governor's going to come down here and take over, she's going to take over the services that she's not funding correctly in the first place?
Yeah,
funding comes from the governor and from the state.
Yeah, I don't know how that helps the DA get funded. The bottom line is if the DA is not properly, you know, adjudicating things here, let's get rid of the guy, for crying out loud.
It's not up to us to fund him.
Right. And unless I miss my guess, this guy is an at-will employee here somehow. You know, I think we could probably, he's not elected, is it? The DA?
No, he works for the state.
Right. Okay.
And the state is not funding him, obviously. It has nothing to do with our vote. They keep saying this, but it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with what kind of funding he's getting from the state.
Well, why can't we get on the phone with the state and say, hey, listen, this guy that you sent us is doing a bad job here. You know, this guy, he won't prosecute any cases. And maybe they're going to come back to you and say, well, you don't have enough money to fund jail space to put all these people.
That has nothing to do when it gets to the DA.
Well, and especially the case that he cited, where some guy is a you know, serial recidivist, you know, auto thief. You know, I think you can put that guy in prison. You don't have to worry about him occupying space in the county jail, because he's going to go to prison for a couple of years or whatever.
Yep.
So I don't understand. I don't understand.
Anytime that they try to tell you that your vote, it's your decision, anytime they try to tell you that your vote is depriving the DA of funds, this is just totally ridiculous. It's just to try to panic you into doing things, because that's not where the DA gets his money.
Right. So let me finish this paragraph and then knock out the other paragraph, and we'll have time for a little bit of comment. And then we're kind of up against the clock here.
We are.
So the DA can't prosecute all the serious cases, and it might get worse next year if federal funding levels are reduced again. We are already financially unable to provide adequate public safety services, and right now it looks like it might get worse next year unless there is action on the federal level. We don't need a vote to affirm our financial status. Well,
now I can read the next part, but you go ahead. Go ahead.
But here, let me comment for a second.
Please.
Always on the part of, because Jay Meredith is he's the SOS guy. He was certainly speaking for cuffs at the event that they had last year to promote the levy. And so this guy is heavily involved in it. It is my personal opinion that their entire motivation is to pull money into the system there so that they can grow the behemoth larger and make sure that their you know, that their PERS is getting funding, et cetera, et cetera. And so to somebody like that, we are always going to be in an emergency in terms of the funding level we have.
Now, if you consider yourselves to be Americans and that we're going to go with the system where there's a vote, these people hate your voting record. So what he says next is, so why do we need this vote? That's Jay Meredith. If all we're asking for is free money for a period of 18 months starting in the summer of 2017 with the option to renew for another 18 months, as was stated in the radio, and one can infer from reading this ballot title, why don't we declare an emergency today and get to work to see if we can come to an agreement with the state for some temporary revenues? Again, why do we need to ask the public, would you like free money to help provide public safety services? If we can dedicate some existing general fund revenues, around $3 million or more, that would have gone to public safety anyway with no strings attached and no need to pay back to state, why wouldn't we want to do this as bridge funding source while we work on other areas? Gee, I wonder what he means by that. To direct resources to public safety. Mike?
Yeah, and this is Jay right. This is Jay Meredith. This is what his MO is pursue the money and contempt for people who are saying no, we don't want a greater the message that we've been trying to send to them for years here is get smaller, tighten the belt, get your act together. We want a lean, mean fighting machine here. And, they are not planning on doing that. There isn't any question that they have some superfluous programs going on. And they're just looking for greater funding because, they want to get that juvenile justice shelter back open and get a bunch of people in there working so that whoever it is that has jurisdiction over them can have a larger fiefdom. And, and then Jay Meredith can, of course, bask in the glory that all of this was his idea that is now coming to fruition. You're muted, Dale.
Mike's right. We've run out of time. We could continue reading this to you. It's really more of the same where he keeps asking again and again and again, why do we have to ask the people for a vote? Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Stop asking for a vote. Okay, so if you want the entire transcript of this letter, there is an email address to which you can send us. Am I saying that slowly enough, Mike? Here's
yes,
Mike.
You are.
With that address, you just send us that.
County.
We will send it to you. Right.
At
cpros.com. And yeah, almost in stereo, Mike. And we will send that to you. In addition, we've already posted the whole thing on Facebook. I don't do Facebook. Well, okay, you're going to miss out on some of the instant news, but we're going to tell you anyway. And it's really more of the same. Now, the staff at the city is wagging the dog. Cheryl Walker is completely with them. Dan DeYoung and Cheryl were completely agreeing with each other. If you don't do it, Cheryl, nobody's going to do it. What they mean is we're not going to vote for it, and they absolutely they've had it up to here with democracy, with the Republican form. Well,
I got to tell you, what the message that we all need to get from this letter is that the Board of Commissioners decided to not put that on the ballot. And to me, what that means is they are taking the recommendations of Jay Meredith to heart, and you can expect that they may be attempting to instate this state of emergency, and that may be happening very, very soon. But I'll tell you what. At this candidates meeting here the other night, we completely nuked the idea that there's a public safety emergency in this county. Thank you, Bill Hunker. And thank you to us here at badcounty.com because hey, we remember all of that stuff and we're able to spout that stuff back. So, bottom line is that this is in the pipeline, and we need to be watching these people and ready to pounce on them with the correct statistics. And they need to rationalize to us the criteria for declaring a state of emergency, and justify that to us first. And if they don't do an adequate job of that, and they're still planning on ramming this through, we need to show up at the weekly business session in massive force. You, your friends, your neighbors, everybody, because this is serious business.